আমরা কবে শুরু করে দিতে পারো, স্যার তো বলছেন একটু আগে।
স্যার শুরু করে দাও।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
Okay, let's start. Good evening or good morning. As Mohammad Karim sir has joined from the USA, so we should say good morning also. And I am Mohammad Kabirujaman, Assistant Professor of AIUB and an Executive Member of APECE-EEE Alumni Association of University of Dhaka and host of today's webinar. I would like to welcome to this first webinar organized by the APECE-EEE Alumni Association. Today, our keynote speaker, Professor Muhammad Ataul Karim sir, who is renowned scientist and fellow of IEEE, OSA, SPIE, IOP, IET, and so on, and has long experience in the academic as well as administrative position. It is worthwhile to mention that Professor Karim sir is an alumnus of University of Dhaka and already uplifted the status of his alma mater a lot. Hence, it is our great opportunity to hear, learn from him so that we can also effectively contribute as well. Without any delay, let's start our program. Firstly, a short briefing of APECE-EEE Alumni Association activities. On behalf of executive members, I would like to invite Dr. Mohammad Junaibur Rashid sir, Secretary of the Association, for showing a short brief of the activities. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kabir. I'm just sharing my slides. Can you see the slide?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you, respected alumni, distinguished Professor Muhammad Ataul Karim, my senior brothers and sisters of this Alumni Association, and other guests. Good evening. So today is our first webinar. This association, we are organizing this first webinar, and we have invited a very distinguished professor, as you have already, as Dr. Kabir he has already mentioned. And he will talk about today the uplifting the status of the alma mater, role of the alumni. So being a general secretary of this association, I would like to tell you a few things what we're doing in the last couple of years. We do give scholarships to our students, those who are poor or insolvent particularly. We do also give them book allowance, festival bonus also. And sometimes our students or alumni, if they're sick, they ask for help, and then we try to give them financial help for their family members even. Sometimes our staffs also, they get some fund from us. Then students sometimes they're in trouble to collect the money for getting admission into the in a particular year. Then we try to give them financial help. Also, sometimes they need some help, particularly in COVID situation when they come to Dhaka, when the residential halls are closed, they need some help for accommodation. And also for online class, they need some devices. We also try to give them money to buy laptop or mobile. So in addition, last year we started to help them and their family because of COVID-19 situation. Many of their families are they're actually struggling to live their lives. So that's why we also spread our hands to not only to the students, their family too. Before we also give financial support to our department to renovate a big classroom. And now this classroom is one of the biggest classroom in our department, and it is great help for the department, it seems like that. Also, we do some social activities. Sometimes we give help to the flood victims people. We also made houses for them. And our alumni in different areas of Bangladesh, they also helped us to build these houses for those flood victims. And sometimes our students, they're also participating in any national and international conferences or they are participating in a competition. So if they need any help, they also ask for some financial help, and then we try to spread our hands for them. Every year, we also do organize our annual general meeting and reunion for our students, ex-students, and also we do organize Easter party. Besides we also recognize our retired teachers. We also give them farewell, and we try to listen from them. We organize the program, and then they come to that event and tell us their stories, and they remember their things. And by doing this, we actually recognize our retired teachers. Besides those who are our alumni, if they're in a good position, in a national, international level, then we also try to recognize them. In addition, we have also a Zakat fund, and from that Zakat fund, we try to help the distressed people, those who need this kind of help. So I can give you a small financial status that last year, only for these 4 purposes, the scholarship, book allowance, festival bonus, then financial help for the sick people, particularly our alumni students or their family members, and also for the admission or accommodation or to buy any mobile or laptop, and also for their family. Also, if the students are in a difficult condition or their families are in difficult condition, particularly for COVID-19, then we help them. And last year we actually spent 21 lakh taka in BDT, so only for these 4 purposes. And this year already we have spent around 12 lakh taka. So this is our actually our status, you can see. So we are doing, we are trying to help our students, our alumni, in a, so that they can feel that they are not alone. So with that, I would like to finish my statement here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Junaibur Rashid sir, for your elaborative showing of the activities of the alumni. So now it's turn of our honorable keynote speaker. So let's know about a short biography of the sir, although it is very much difficult to summarize about his many words, but I have just made a short summary. So Professor Muhammad Ataul Karim sir is Provost, Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Chief Operating Officer of the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. Previously, he served as the Vice President of Research of the Old Dominion University in Virginia, Dean of Engineering at the City College of New York, Founding Director of Electro-Optics at the University of Dayton in Ohio. He is an elected fellow of the Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, IEEE, Optical Society of America, OSA, the Society of Photo Instrumentation Engineers, SPIE, the Institute of Physics, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, and the Bangladesh Academy of Sciences. Dr. Karim is author or editor of 19 texts and reference books, over 365 research papers, 8 book chapters, 3 US patents, and of numerous technical reports. Dr. Karim's areas of research encompass optical computing, information processing, pattern or target recognition, night vision, displays, electro-optical systems, and sensors. The list of his research sponsors include Office of Naval Research, National Science of Foundation, US Air Force, Naval Research Laboratory, US Army, NASA, US Department of Education, Ohio Aerospace Institute, and so on. Muhammad Karim received his BS Honours degree in Physics from the University of Dhaka, Bangladesh in 1976, and MS in Physics, MS in Electrical Engineering, and PhD in Electrical Engineering degrees from the University of Alabama, respectively in 1978, 1979, and 1981. So with this, I would like to invite Dr. Ataul Karim sir to start the speech. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Can I share the screen?
Yes, sir, please.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Sir, not
Not yet.
from my side. Yeah. Sir, I should mention, আপনি স্যার চাইলে বাংলাও স্যার বলতে পারেন।
হ্যাঁ, I'm having a little difficulty sharing the screen.
আপনি চাইলে আমি আপনাকে হোস্ট করে দিতে পারি, তাহলে কি সুবিধা হবে?
হ্যাঁ, I think I just email it to you, right?
অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমিও তো co-host, আমি co-host ছাড়াই কিন্তু আমি শেয়ার করতে পারছি স্যার।
Okay, please go ahead. And I'll just tell you next and you can go to the next slide.
Oh no, I don't have any slides sir. মানে আপনি কি স্লাইড আমাদের পাঠিয়েছেন?
I just sent it to you.
Okay. ফয়সাল, তাহলে তোমাকে দেখো তো, কবির তুমিও দেখো, মেইল দেখো।
আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ আসছে, হ্যাঁ পেয়েছি বলো।
তাহলে ফয়সাল কাইন্ডলি শেয়ার করো এবং নেক্সট স্লাইড এভাবে করো আর কি, সামহাউ ওখান থেকে হচ্ছে না।
হ্যাঁ আসছে, পেয়েছি।
ও স্যারেরটা এখন আসতেছে, দেখি
আসছে এখন?
ইয়েস স্যার, আপনারটা এসেছে স্যার।
Okay, now let me see how do I
Should I share or you're...
Yeah, please go ahead. It looks like there's a little problem on my end.
ওকে ফয়সাল, তাহলে তুমি শেয়ারই করো, কারণ অনেক সময় মাল্টিপল স্ক্রিন থাকলে একটা সমস্যা হয় আর কি। স্যারের হয়তো
Can you see the first slide, sir? Hello?
আমরা মনে হয়
Yeah,
করিম স্যারের দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
I'm unable to see, unfortunately.
ওকে ফয়সাল, একটা সমস্যা হচ্ছে যে জুম একটা নতুন করেছে, আগে যেটা ছিল না, সেটা হচ্ছে যে যদি মাল্টিপল পিপল শেয়ার করে তাহলে এট দ্য টপ ওই অপশনটা থাকে যে তুমি সিলেক্ট করতে পারবা, চুজ করতে পারবা কার স্লাইডটা তুমি দেখতে চাও। এই জন্য আমার মনে হয় সবাইকে তুমি অফ করে দাও, অফ করে দিয়ে আবার তোমার থেকে শুরু করো, তাহলে ইজি হয়ে যাবে আর কি।
স্যারের শেয়ারিংটা স্টপ করতে হবে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, আপনারটা স্টপ করেন,
তাহলে আমি পারবো।
Okay, I just stopped my sharing.
ওয়ান্ডারফুল, এখন ফয়সাল করো জোনাবর। হ্যাঁ দেখা যাচ্ছে, হ্যাঁ ভিজিবল, হ্যাঁ ফুল স্ক্রিন মোডে নিয়ে। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
Okay, Assalamu alaikum for meeting today. This is my second meeting in Bangladesh today. The first one is Ahsanullah University of Science and Technology. It was at morning 10 a.m., which was midnight here. So I'm on a roll today. The topic that I have been asked to talk about is, in a sense, and I kind of gave my title, which is Alumni and Research Cultivation. And the reason being is because if you move to the next slide, is that I asked at the very beginning as to what are the questions were posed to me. And there, if you could click a little bit, I was given 3 questions to address. How can alumni contribute to uplift the status of their alma mater? I was asked, what are the responsibilities of the Alumni Association? And finally, how the research environment can be created in a university. Let me pause for a minute for all of these 3. These 3 are very elaborate topic, and I know we have about half an hour or so to go through this, and I'll try to go as fast as possible. They are somewhat interlinked, and I would say the last topic of the 3 is quite separate from the first. So if I go to the next slide, and I want to tell you who are the alumni, and I think eventually the issues that you are trying to address that Alumni Association, just as you described a few minutes ago at what are being done at Dhaka University, I would like to share perspective of how it can be expanded to create a much larger focus and thrust. And clearly my experiences are based on the United States. It has very different expectation, history, and culture of giving. Now, what I wanted to kind of tell you that donors and alumni are not necessarily the same person. An institution may be able to cultivate donors who, it happens that in the United States, large majority of the donors will be their alumni. But what does not remain to be understood is that donations can come from also non-alumni. And so let me tell you, the donors, whether they are alumni or not, they usually give, at least in the context of the United States, they give to winners. In other words, an institution can expect to receive only if they're winning. If an institution is in trouble, they have reputation issues, at least in the context of Europe and America, donors will find other places to give. What the institution does, including at Dhaka University anywhere, is to establish the need. And establishing the need is a very long process. Typically, it requires a grassroots understanding of what the next level of needs are. Legacy creation, on the perspective of the donors who have money, surplus money, or the money that will remain after they will die at some point in time. They are interested typically in the legacy creation. And legacy creation meaning they're leaving behind a legacy, either their name because certain unit, laboratory, buildings, structures were named either by after them or after their families. In the United States, many of these are also driven by tax laws at the level of individual tax, family tax, corporation tax, and foundation tax. Any donation that is given by an individual, by a family, by a corporation, by a foundation, very important to understand, these are tax deductible. Now, when I say giving, I want to be very cautious in the United States. Giving to a person is not tax deducted. Giving to an institution is tax deductible. So whether you are an individual or a family or a corporation or a foundation, as long as the giving are given to institutions or who are tax recognized to receive money are the ones who encourages, and therefore people knows by donating, not only they are creating legacy, but they're also getting tax advantages. Fundraising and friend raising are kind of goes together. If you cannot make friend out of the donors, whether they're alumni or not, if you cannot raise enough friends, most likely you will not be able to raise enough funds. Typically, a university or institution, they have a development department, whether it is 2 or 3 or 4 people, sometimes more, given the fact how much you want to raise. Typically, in the United States, a unit usually raises at least 7 to 10 times the money a year, more than what they're spending in generating the money. And fundraising is a process, so much so that in the United States and Europe, whether it's a university president or is university's chancellor, is evaluated by board of trustee based on his or her success in fundraising. So these are the many facets that needs to be understood. Can we go to the next slide, please? This slide is important for me to explain. This is a slide between 1980 to 2020. In terms of dollars that have been given, and if you look at it, is that it's billions of dollars. So what I want you to know that in 1980, the universities, what I'll say in the United States, the amount of total dollars that were given was about $150 billion. And by 2020, it has become about $471 billion. Now, there's a line up there is if I try to use it in current dollar forms, in other words, because every dollar or every taka that loses value over time, we will see, if I correct it, in 1980, in the United States, people donated about 50 billion a year, and they're raising now about 471 billion. So in a sense, what you're seeing 9 to 10 times more money is being raised per year in this 40 years time. One more thing, on a national average, people in the United States per head, each year donates about $600 to $700 a year. That's just something to think about it. And when I say this is the money total donated, they donate to many things. They donate it to universities, to the churches, to food pantries, to all sorts of things. So let me go to the next slide. In the next slide, I want to tell you why in the universities, the donation is such an important factor. In the United States, in the universities, if I look at the tuition, so in 2000, for example, and I've got 3 lines here, one for the private university, and after the remaining 2 lines are for the state institutions like Dhaka University. And in between these, there are 2 sets of figure. One is for out-of-state tuition and one for in-state tuition. In-state tuition are paid by students from within the state, and out of state is a tuition paid by the student from another state who is studying in this state. So what you're seeing is that tuition in 2080, even for out of state, was $10,000 a year, and is about $4,000 for an in-state. It has risen to about $25,000 for out of state and about $10,000 for in-state. You and I know that a typical person cannot pay as much. So one of the reasons fund is being raised aggressively over these 20, 30, 40 years is to subsidize the students in their tuition so that the institution remains viable and also does this. So again, if you play this picture up, in the case of Bangladesh, and I'm not so certain exactly the number, but you will see the tuition has changed. If the tuition hasn't changed, the cost of living in the dormitories or halls, what you call, have clearly gone up. Cost of expenses have gone up, food has gone up. So really there is need to subsidize students over time. Let's go to the next slide. This slide is important for us to understand that in just to the universities, now I'm not talking about churches or anything, I'm just asking, in the United States higher education, it's just a snapshot. How many institutions are there in the United States? Little over 4,000 of them. Of the 4,000, something about like 1,500 are universities and rest are colleges. And within those 1,500, there are different categories of university: doctoral university, research 1 university, research 2 university, and so on, and a comprehensive university, a master's granting university. So there are all those categories of this institution. What I want you to know that for higher education, if you look at the pie chart in the middle, and this is important to understand, this is over average just on the year 2018. 26% of the money that university raises have come from alumni. 18.3% has come from non-alumni. 30% comes from foundations. About 14% come from corporations and about 11% from other organizations. So how does all those other people ends up contributing? That's what is important, is the cultivating of the friends. So one of the roles for alumni is to gain support for the organization by cultivating friends who may or may not have anything to do with your organization. And then the last thing, or at least one, I think, bar chart I wanted to share is that whatever income is generated by the donation, normally in the United States, the donation kept in large mutual fund, bonds, stocks, and the dividend that you receive is what is spent so that the principal keeps on growing. It's important to understand the principal keeps on growing. That is key in order to raise funds. The income that is generated, it seems like about majority of the income, about 93% incomes are restricted. In other words, donor already told you, my money should be spent on tuition. Donor told you, my money should be spent on a building. My money should be spent on equipment. Only a small fraction, which is 6.7% of the money in the United States, are unrestricted. In other words, university can spend that 6.7% in any way they see fit. So what do the typically gift support? One more bar chart at the bottom left corner. Research utilizes about 33%. Academic division, support of the department, colleges, faculty, about 21%. Student financial aid, about 10%. Athletics, about 8%. Faculty and staff compensation, about 1.6%. The library is about 0.6%. That's nationwide. So let me go to the next slide. This is just to give you a sense. 10 out of the top 20 fundraising institutions in the year 2000. The blue are private institutions and yellow are public institutions. And the blue are such as Harvard, Stanford, Columbia, Yale, Johns Hopkins, Cornell, Emory, UPenn, USC, Duke. And the state institutions are, the top one is Indiana University. This is University of Wisconsin. Next is University of California, San Francisco, University of California, Los Angeles, and so on and on. What it tells you that the private universities in this country started raising funds way, way earlier than the public universities have started. So the private universities have gotten a head start in creating the culture of donation and fundraising and friend raising. They've created the pride in the institution. They've created how to work it out. And that is why they have been so successful at the top. So if I go to the next slide, and the next slide, this basically tells you, this is the total money in the endowment that these institutions have. Just look at it. Harvard is sitting with $34 billion in its either stock, bond, or mutual fund. And Yale is at 23 billion. University of Texas System, which is a public, sits with 22 billion. Stanford stands with 20 billion, and so on. What I'm saying here is that an institution does not spend its money. It spends only a fraction of it so that the principal can keep on grow by investment. So I'm just giving you a sense that what happens to the institution's money and how it progresses as we go from one year to the next. If the stock market did well, yeah, you will have a great growth, but if the stock market did not do well, it will not have such a growth. So normally there are investment committees in the universities who helps determining where and what percentage of the money should be invested in what and what sector. So thank you. Let's go to the next slide. In the next slide, what I wanted to tell you again comes back to the same thing. $46 billion, of which Alumni contributes 26%. I've stated it before, just it is in a pie chart formation so that you can see the extent of the amount. Alumni is not a small piece. They generate about $26 billion each year in the United States for the university. Let's go to the next slide. This one is, I kind of thought to put it up to say, when a university receives money, it receives, and so year by year, if you look to this graph, you will see, this is from 1950 to 2020. There are many universities which are religious universities or affiliated with a church. They typically get most of their money or a lot of money from the religious organizations. A state university possibly gets money from alumni, non-alumni, corporations, and foundations. The purpose of this chart is to tell you that the percentage or the volume that is generated has not been uniform. It keeps on changing is because universities are getting more and more sophisticated and smart in how to raise funds. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. This is perhaps one of my few slides of fundraising, is that this is a process. And typically it goes through a cycle where institution, they have an ongoing process to identify projects. What needs money? If you are asking money for 20,000 different things, nothing is going to be very fruitful. But so you may do that, but you need to identify some central missions. So let's say a project, whether it is building, whether it is a laboratory, whether it's equipment, the project needs to be formulated. And then developing proposal, it's an art. The proposal is developed, is custom made based on who the donor could be. And the university's Office of Development does the prospect research. It actually studies alumni, donors to figure out who could be a prospect. And then once they know who the prospects, they try to match the prospect person with the project that you want in funding. Let me pause a minute. We have found in the universities, in the first year, you are not going to get somebody who is going to give you $1 million, even in the United States. The person who is giving $1 million today may have started 20 years ago giving $5 a month, maybe $50 a month, maybe $1,000 a year. So a donor keeps on giving over time and has to be convinced that the money given are significantly utilized and the donor is satisfied with the way it does. So over time, a donor get confidence in the institution that the money that we are donating, whether it's an alumni or a non-alumni, is being contributed and placed to the right thing. As it does, then the donors keeps on increasing the donation. You are also expecting that donor is becoming richer over time. He has more resources at his disposal over time, and he can give more to the organization that he has more confidence in. Please understand, the donors have a lot of choice to give. So if they didn't like an institution or organization, they will find something else to donate to. Why they're going to donate? Because they want to donate, because they are looking for name recognition, but also they are looking for tax benefits. So all of that together, what I'm trying to tell you is that it is a process. A donor who is giving big today may have started, not may have, it is always has started with a small amount. And I have got thousands of such examples in my life. And then once you have identified this process, let me go to the bottom, is that you cultivate the donors. That might mean, inviting the donors to a restaurant, might be inviting to a party, to a picnic, whatever it does. While doing, you solicit either publicly or privately, and a donor may not be at exactly the same point where you are, so you steward the donors until they're ready to give. So this is what is called generally the fundraising cycle that is used in helping donors progress or alumni progress from low giving to high giving. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. I just want to give an example just on my own institution. Big ones at University of Massachusetts, big hits this year. Just example, we have 5 campuses at University of Massachusetts. The campuses are Amherst, Boston, Dartmouth, Lowell, and Medical School, which is a separate campus at 5 different cities. If you click my next bullet, if you hit, the medical school received this year $175 million from Gerald Chen Family Foundation, not from person, from the foundation of the person. Gerald Chen, who possibly made money, the money was put in a family foundation. And as a result of this donation, UMass Medical School will now be known, starting last month, UMass Chen Medical School. Let's go look at the next one. Next bullet is that UMass received $50 million from Manning Family Foundation. And I know Manning family started giving 5,000, 6,000, 10, 15 years ago, gave $50 million from his foundation. Of this, $15 million will be received by UMass Boston in support of his College of Nursing and Health Science. And it will be named, if you click the button a little bit, okay, I'm sorry, I think it didn't appear. It will be named Manning College of Nursing and Health Sciences. Lastly, it is last month, UMass Amherst College of Nursing received $21.5 million from Elaine Marieb Charitable Foundation. The college will be known as Elaine Marieb College of Nursing. What am I telling you in my own universities? That significant dollars can be raised, patience and process and cultivating the donors. And the donors are willing to use their foundations because at some point in time, donors know the money that they have or accumulated can never be utilized enough by their family member. So the family foundation is which eventually gives the money. So this is kind of a slide shot from my own universities. One more thing I want to tell you, you are getting a sense on the 3 areas. Where is the money coming? Money is coming to medicine, nursing, health, allied sciences, because that's where focus is for people now, whether it is because of COVID-19 or not, that this has been a trend for a long time to help the biomedical side. So this is to be important because people see immediate benefit out of that. So it's just the sense of what are the fields in the project that ends up getting money. Now, remember, at the same time, while these 3 donations are happening, I can tell you there are thousands and thousands of other people who are donating to these universities, campuses separately for all different types of things. I'm just flushing out the big ones. Let's go to the next slide. A little bit about research reputation. And I know this is a little bit different, but so I'm changing the gear a little bit. So let's look at it if we go to the next slide. Something that is called a Sisyphus challenge. Sisyphus is a Greek god. The picture is, if you click the button once more time, if you click, that science and technology capacity building versus science and technology capacity destruction process is a reputation. Reputation can be built and can be destroyed. And if you click the button one more time, it will say, it takes 15 to 20 years to build a world-class research institution. It takes just 2 years to destroy it. So let me rephrase it. Building is a very long-term process. Destroying it takes 2 years. So I took a visit to the Dhaka University website earlier this week. And I have to tell you, the website is now a lot better than what it used to be. But if I had gone to the website only about a few months ago, it was a disappointing website. It didn't tell anything. It talked about things that made no difference for the university. People want to know what this university, not what it has done, what it is doing, and what it will do. If that reputation is not built, it will be destroyed. So think of this. I was a physics graduate student from Dhaka University. I came out of physics department knowing full well that S.N. Bose was the department head and a reader and a professor once of this department. He didn't have a PhD at all, but ended up publishing a work of world renown with Albert Einstein. Despite that, that was 1921 to 26. After that, since then, if you recall, are you getting similar bang from the university? We are not. And so in a sense, the reputation it has been, I know we may feel bad, actually has been declined for a long time. It continues to be going down. And website in the modern day is one way of looking at the university. That is looked upon to see where the university can be ranked. How many faculty do they have? More important, which faculty publishes what? Which has impact, which has no impact? What this university does, what this university create, what this university students do, where do the students graduate to, what kind of work they do. All of that helps build the institution. And it's very important, as I said again, it takes 15 to 20 years only to build a university world-class, but it takes just about 2 years to destroy it altogether. And I remember when I was in the university between 1972 to 76, what are the most important things that happened in those 4 years? If I ask myself, one thing that stands in my mind is that 7 young students were mercilessly killed in what used to be Mohsin Hall then. That's the one event that has struck in my mind for these 45 years. That's what is important to me. That's what I remember, what has happened while I was a student. So let's go to the next slide. I wanted to tell you this in the next slide. Facts as they stand, and this is global, so please GDP investment in education is 5.1% in Korea. In Bangladesh, in 2.2%. Now, let me tell you, doesn't matter how many highways you have and how many bridges you build, doesn't matter how many tunnels you build, it doesn't matter how many buildings you have. Only 2.2% of the money is invested in education. And let me tell you this, it was about 2.2% or thereabout. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, it didn't increase. So first of all, the investment in education in Bangladesh has remained flat. And you can see right now, the investment in the countries that are succeeding, they're investing to the tune of 5 to 4% in Asia, for example. In some other countries, it may be different. Let's click the next button. In the 1960s, and let me remind you, when I was, and even when I was going to school, students were coming from Korea and Malaysia used to come to East Pakistan for their higher studies. That doesn't happen anymore. Now the Bangladeshi students go there and other destinations. Just by 2019, 28,000 Bangladeshi students went to Malaysia. It was 1,722 in 2010. So in 9 years, it has grown from 1,700 to 28,000. Why do you think the students are flocking out? Is because of reputation is important. Let's go to the next bullet. The next bullet will say, the same time I was there in the institution, something called an ordinance of 1973 or Dhaka Bishwabidyalaya Ottadhesh promulgated hoy. And democracy was established through this ordinance. It replaced meritocracy in the university. All it takes is elections and elections and election to rise to the institution. You will have blue panel, pink panel, white panel, if you have any panel. And this is the democracy that got started. It replaced meritocracy altogether. And the public sector institution, whether you like it or not, they're basically failed with faculty politicized, dysfunctional, and quality compromised. Now, I must say, over last many years, I've continued to travel to Bangladesh very frequently. COVID-19 has stopped some of that, but I have gone and I've visited universities. And I must say, there are some good glimmer of hope. In some pocket of some universities, I do find some very young faculty aggressively working to build a reputation. They oftentimes don't care what the university does, whether what the current political party does or not. They have been investing in the conduct of research and scholarly work that will bring the reputation up. So let me go to the next slide. And I wanted to tell, if you just go back one more time. Okay, I want to tell you, if I study it right, it looks like the minimal knowledge creation, dissemination in Bangladesh, except in 3 fields. Health is the #1 sector. Agriculture is the #2. And engineering is 3rd in the order. Why health? I believe because you have ICDBRD. That is the center point of all the work in health. Agriculture is because of Momen Shahi Agriculture University, whatever the new name is, I don't know. In fact, the reason today, after 50 years, majority people have food to eat is because what those researchers in Momen Shahi or Moymonsinho Agriculture University did. I know when I was at Dhaka University going to school, we hardly cared about Krishi University. And I can tell you, they have produced more for this country than anybody else. So 3 ranks, health at the very top, agriculture next, and engineering next. So let's go to the next slide. Look at, I just picked up 2 years of, this is just a slide. We don't have to go through it. Look at the news headlines from Daily Stars, Sun, BD News 24, Independent, Dhaka Tribune, and so on. And you will see that the question, these are articles that I had just posted. Well, in October, 57 Dhaka University law students fined for plagiarism. Somebody in some department, a faculty member stealing PhD thesis. Some ex-VC, whoever does, and others are accused of plagiarism. Quality of journal under question, plagiarism by teachers, plagiarism a result of shady recruitment in Dhaka University, teacher politics plaguing our public universities, North-South University find inconsistencies in private university ranking. 3 people from Kuwait teachers were suspended over plagiarism. So what does all of this tells us? It can generally gives an impression. And by the way, you may say you forgot it, but people don't forget. The donors don't forget. The alumni don't forget how a university or an institution or a group is progressing. They definitely impacts the mind of the people, whether or not they should help, support what, support why, support when. So let's go to the next slide. I took 2 shots because I studied this for a long time. I don't have very current data because I didn't have enough time. I look at the rank, 2011 world rank of the journals that is produced out of Bangladesh. And on the leftmost column in 2018, I have 1 entry in red and everything else is in black. All these red and black, these are the journals that are produced out of Bangladesh. And these are the journals for which I have data. And one thing that needs to be understood, except for Journal of Health, Population and Nutrition, whose H index is 45. So let me tell you what is H index is. So for that journal, 45 means in a year, 45, at least there were 45 articles in that journal where every article received at least 45 citations. Did you get it? This journal, they had at least published 45 articles where at least 45 of them have been cited at least 45 times. That's why the H index is 45. After that, you can see the H index drop. At the very leftmost column, which is SJR, which is Science Journal Rating, that tells me that number, 0.811, means every article published in that journal is cited during a year at least 0.8 times. So for at least 10 articles published there will be cited during the year 8 times. And if you go down, you see it drastically goes down. The reason I put this journal, and again, it happens to be in health, and I put it in red to make a point. This journal is produced by, guess who? ICDBRD. The journal has done so good. The journal has left Bangladesh, and it's now being produced out of Johns Hopkins University in the United States. Rest of the journals are being produced out of Bangladesh. And I want to caution something because that's at the guts of reputation. Where are our faculty members publishing? Are they publishing in Ajker Khabar or Prothom Alo? Or are they publishing in Physical Review? Or they are publishing in Applied Physics Journal? Or they're publishing in one of these journals or not? So this is just a scheme. These are the top most journals of Bangladesh, of which one of them has already left the country, the best one. And the remaining ones are listed. And if you look in there, do you see the word physics anywhere? Actually, you don't. You can see the only engineering you can see at the very top is marine engineering. You do see pharmacology, you see pharmaceutical science, you see plant taxonomy, you see Medical Research Council bulletin. What does it tell you? It tells you people in the health sector are doing better works, even the ones who are publishing locally. I still want to caution everybody. Let's go to the next slide. This slide, or I had prepared for myself, I didn't present, but there was NYAB webinar, I believe on the May 22nd this year. And I was asked to join. I was not one of the speakers, but I collected the data and I'm presenting it today just to tell you, Bangla JAWL is a digital library based in, well, actually is based overseas, but is managed from within Bangladesh, and currently its host happens to be Bangladesh Academy of Science. It included 73 journals in 2011, and I've been studying it since 2011. And this year, as of early this week, I'm sorry, on May 22nd this year, there were 143 journals listed. Of them, 57 or 40% were being produced from the university. 15% are no longer published. They're still listed. They are not published. So let me take a pause here. 40% are published from the universities. Why? I would argue, because that is an unusually large number. It means these universities are cooking up journals so that they wanted to help their own faculty member to get promoted by publishing in second or third or fourth or fifth type ranked journals. That means nothing. So if you click one more time, and I wanted to tell you this, for 15%, in the website I studied, and it says, as far as we are aware, this journal is no longer published. So let's put the context. Scopus, the world's largest inventory list worldwide, 34,000 journals. 60% are published by professional societies. Rest are published by a large publishing house. A minuscule, and when I say minuscule, it's less like 1 or 2% are housed in universities, which typically means they are not as good yet. If they're ever successful, they often get picked up by professional societies or other publishers. So let's come back to the second bullet. 60% are published by professional societies. That's APS, American Physical Society. That's IEEE, that's SPIE, that's OSA, professional society. And if you go farther down, you will see that publishing houses, which have now the largest monopoly, the biggest publisher is Springer, the next is Taylor Francis, and the next is Wiley. Let's go to one more slide, and you will get to this point. Think about it for a while. Now I'm going to talk about Dhaka University itself. So if you went to the website today, there are 17 journals listed in Dhaka University website. 8 of those 17 are also listed in Bangla JAWL. So let me give you, of the 17, only one has any associated impact number. That happens to be the Journal for Pharmacology. 5 of the journals of the 17 did not even produce a single issue since 2010. In 11 years, not a single article or an issue had been produced. 1 of the 17 never had an issue. For one, the web link does not work, at least when I try. 2 of the journals have been there for a long time, even when I was a student. One was Journal of Statistical Research, which has been going on for 52 years. And Dhaka University studies in science going on for 68 years. The sad thing of neither of these 2 journals that have been going for 50 plus years or 60 plus years have not been ranked yet in 50 years or 60 years yet. It is about time you shut down this journal because they are no good, they never will produce anything. And the faculty member who are publishing in there, they're wasting their time, wasting their reputation. It might help in your local promotion. It is not helping. increasing or improving the reputation of the university. Let's click the slide one more time. If you click one more. There are only 4 journals left in Bangladesh, only 4. Because one journal is already taken over from ICDBRD, has already gone to Johns Hopkins. That leaves only 4 journals left. And of the 4 journals, Bangladesh Journal of Pharmacology is actually in Q3. And the remaining are in the Q4. I'm sorry, the remaining last 2 are from Q4. What does Q4 means? Of the 34,000 journals produced worldwide, it is in the bottom 25%. So, and remember, Banglajol lists 147 journals. The rest of them don't count anything because nobody even knows what they are and what do they publish. So what I think you need to know that where are we going to publish? And this really goes back to the faculty member, what do they do? So let me go to the next slide, please. This is my humble suggestion. No to all university-centric journals. These will fuel mediocrity and make it even worse than what it is today. So when somebody comes to Dhaka University's website, and all these measuring units are actually doing that every day. They go deep into the website to figure this out. They go to various journals to figure out which article got published by an author from within Dhaka University, maybe in partnership with somebody else, or maybe all from Dhaka University, or maybe between a faculty at Dhaka University and maybe Jahangir University, or Buet, or whatever might be the case. Next bullet, please. People, if I wanted to convey anything, people will need to compete at world level. By competing at the local level, reputation of the institution or research reputation will not go up. People need to be convinced that sustained, consistently held, peer-reviewed technical conference to run ideas and then migrate as many of these to peer-reviewed index journals and nothing less than that. If these are not done, the reputation, it doesn't matter which party you belong to, what you do, how glitzy the website is, how colorful you have, what did you do in the 100th year celebration of the Dhaka University, how large a cake you cut, how many pigeons you flew, it is not going to change the reputation of the university. Next slide, please. So this was a very cut-short talk about reputation. Reputation is, in the end, tied to faculty quality, development, faculty productivity, success of students, graduate, university governance, the degree of integrity of how research is done, published, disseminated, recorded, and many other facets. So I would like to stop here just to tell you, you gave me 3 different points. 2 of them were about alumni and 1 about research. And I tried to squeeze everything in about 30, 35 minutes or whatever. I may have overrun. Thank you very much. I think I'm done. Thank you. I'd be more than open to answering questions if anybody has any question.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. And we have learned a lot. So now it's time for question and answer. So I'd like to request to the audience. So if you have any questions, please write here.
May I?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Professor Ahad, come on.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, as always. So I have 2 queries. One is that, I mean, considering the Bangladeshi perspective to bring the trust and confidence, what are the strategies you feel we can make number one. And this program basically from our department's alumni, which is Applied Physics and Electronics, now EEE. So our alumni among the other departments in Bangladesh, I mean Dhaka University, our alumni is very strong, as we have noticed that small departments alumni, but they have done extremely well, and we are planning like that. So fund collection, for example, through the alumni or alumni friends or foundations and others, is it okay that the alumni association can do this with the collaboration of the department, or department should do this? What do you think about that, please? Thank you.
Normally, this is how it works in the United States. The departments, in this case, yours is department. In the United States, it will be on the basis of college, like Faculty of Science or Faculty of Humanities. So at the dean's level, there's a cultivation process. In other words, in your case, it is going to the department. It so happens. So alumni, they're the voice of the department. They're the one who graduated. They're the one who have money in their pocket. They're the one, they will have larger money in the pocket. They're the one, they will have growth in their resources in future. The professors are going to stay professors in the department. So there has to be certain of marriage. And my guess is that if you talk to a faculty member, they kind of know, they know everything, but in reality they may not. So you have to be very careful in how you build this cultivation. But I think the faculty members needs to know you have good intention and interest for the university. If they do, they will participate. In the United States, there have been many instances where alumni and the university has broken off because they can't get along. That's where the destruction happens. So I want to kind of pause here that the alumni and the faculty or the department or the college needs to work in a very collaborative fashion. Okay, hey, we can do this, but this is what we might want it to do if you think this was the best thing possible. So this is what is called the case statement, identification of project. It does not have to happen in one meeting. It might take 10 meetings so that you get a buy-in from the faculty and the students or whatever, that this is a project for next 5 years or 10 years that you're going to raise money towards it. Sometimes the money is so big, it will take 5-10 years to bring there. So identification is important. Alumni Association cannot do it alone, because the moment you try to go and raise money, if Alumni Association does itself, the donor is going to say, how do you know this is most important to the department? Let me call Professor X, and the Professor X tells something different. That's the end of your fundraising, right? So please be sure of this, that this coordination has to happen between the faculty and between the Alumni Association to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any other question?
I want to ask one thing.
Sir, please.
Sure.
Sir, one thing, as you said at the starting level of your speech about the tuition fees are growing day by day in United States, but in Bangladesh, the tuition fees, hall accommodation fees and other things are not increasing at all. I guess the fees I paid maybe 30 years back, students are paying almost the same fees, perhaps 15 taka or 12 taka per month tuition fees in public universities. So, for example, if we have 40,000 students who are losing a lot of money, I mean capital or revenue for the universities. But I guess this is a political thing that no government do not want to touch this issue. So what is your opinion regarding this? Is it a good thing?
I personally support raising of tuition, but let me caution, just as you say, when I went to Dhaka University and I lived in Fazlul Haq Muslim Hall, I lived for at least 2 years on a single seated room on 3rd floor, room 340. I paid then only 6 taka a month for staying on the 3rd floor in a single seated room. This is like staying in Times Square 1 mile away from Gulistan. And I was paying 6 taka. It is unheard of that this could continue. It is happening because of lack of political will. Because we know the people who are at the top of the university, they have gotten there by political process. They don't want to face students. They don't want to face anything. They would rather get by. They will try to give money to this student group or that student group just to keep them quiet. So the institution in Bangladesh, unfortunately, is on a wrong track. The tuition has to increase. If not, how do you end up having more and more faculty members? How do you end up paying more and more salary? How do you end up supporting more students? If that is not the case, yes, there will be dorms and the halls where one room, instead of having 3 students, they've got 12 students or 15 students, 12 of them lying on the floor. These are possible because the investment has not happened. So again, I know this is a very top level, but in Bangladesh, the tuition has not gone up and more likely will not go up because I'm not so certain that we are interested in growth of university. I'm not so sure we are interested in increasing the reputation of the university. Until those have changed at the very top level, at the political level, it is not going to happen. Yes, 20,000 or more students will go to Malaysia or will go to some other place without coming here. You can already see there are some 100 plus private universities. They happen because now they're taking away students from Dhaka University and Buet and others. And you may still say they are not getting best of the students. I can tell you, I'm looking from the receiving side from the United States. I meet students who are coming from state universities and private universities. I must say, some of the product I'm seeing from private universities are fantastic product, okay? I'm just fantastic product. I have not seen many such products. I'll just give you one example to tell you. We had a student who came from Bangladesh a few years ago in my campus right now, finished his PhD about 2 years ago, won all kind of top prizes, got a faculty member, not in a small school, in the University of New Hampshire. It's a Research One university. In less than 2 years, this same student has gotten an NSF Career Award, which means this student is set for his life. So that's what I'm saying. Don't misunderstand that great students are all staying in Dhaka University. No. If people can afford, they are going to move out. Yes, for the poor people may have less choice, but increasingly private universities are going to become better and better. And I know I'm being a graduate of Dhaka University saying that it does not go well, but let's look at this. Look at the annual ranking of the universities. Dhaka University is still at the top. How many private universities do you see right next to it? After you go beyond Buet, you can see a lot of private universities coming up. If Dhaka University does not wake up, they will beat you and they'll go ahead. It is a natural process. If you worked at it 15, 20 years, you will rise up. And it takes only so many years to rise down. So I know I said in a very long fashion, tuition is necessary because without that, you don't have resources. How will Dhaka University contribute money in research funding if they don't have the money, if they don't have it? And they have got this, I forgot the number, some 20 or 30 institutes or something. And they will give some money of all of those for 1 year or 2 years, and then it's over. Nobody knows where the money has gone. And even if you gave the money, what happened out of that? So just this morning, I was with another meeting with Alumni University of Science and Technology. If you look at how they're going to invest money for research, in a competitive process to the faculty member, you will be amazed what Ataul University of Science and Technology is planning to do right now. I discussed and debated this morning, changing many things as we are going forward. So again, how do you channel increased faculty going forward? And by the way, this is not going to be possible at the department level. These are structural. It has to come from the very top. The top must agree. The rest of the folks, you may have all the best intentions in your mind. Unfortunately, it may not make any difference. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. So you mentioned about the journals that are published from the universities. And I think we talked a little bit about that in my webinar. So
yes.
it's very important that, I mean, we stop the journals that are being published right now from the universities. So my question to you is that, I mean, where do we start that, or how do we start doing that?
See, there are interested party in those journals. They want to have it published. There is an editor, he or she is going to kill his life in order to keep the journal on. So let me tell you, you make these journals redundant by not submitting any work, by encouraging faculty members to avoid this and telling them that they need to compete at the world level, and they will see the benefit out of it. I'm aware of some of the publications coming out of your own group. I'm aware of publications coming out from nanotechnology group in Buet. I'm impressed, I can tell you this. I'm impressed by some of the work that is coming out of North-South University from a particular small sector. You can see that these faculty members are becoming more known worldwide and visible. So I think these journals, they're going to die their own death because they mean nothing. If Dhaka University studies science is still going on for 67 years, has not made a dent yet. It will not. There is by the way, this whole Banglajol is managed by Bangladesh Academy of Science. And I happen to be a fellow of that. Let me tell you this. There is a journal called Journal of Bangladesh Academy of Sciences. I'm being very blunt. I don't know why they're doing it. It means nothing. You have a journal where you can publish an article about Qazi Nazrul Islam. In the same journal, you can write something on the solid state device. In the same journal, you can write something on political science. Who is going to read that journal? Tell me that. So what I'm saying is that these journals are already redundant. They're wasting money of the universities. I think you need to have a grassroots campaign against this. And most importantly, stop faculty members in wasting their paper and pen by submitting here. Rather, instead, they should go out into real reputed journal. They will see quick benefit. Yeah, it takes more time. It takes a little bit more patience, but the payoff is big. And the payoff is big for the university itself, because that changes the ranking of the university. By having published something on Journal of Statistical Research from Dhaka University Statistics Department, it's not going to make any difference. It is not going to make any difference in the reputation ranking. So my gut question is that you have to a grassroots movement of the faculty member so that these things become redundant. And you already know that. Of those 17 listed, some of them have not produced anything in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Means what? Already some faculty have given up on them. So that's good hope. Some website does not even have a web link, which is great. They should have no web link. They should just kill all the web link. So I think the faculty are moving in the right direction. More of you are like this, are going to make a bigger difference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
So we have a message from you, from our faculty, Dr. Raymond Polash. He said that I'm actually reading his comments. Thanks to Dr. Karim for his nice speech. We are working to improve our university website. Any particular suggestion for further improvement? I might place it to the authority.
As I said, I was there yesterday. Just check it out. I'm impressed. I'm impressed because it has improved already. So I'm saying about 2 years ago, and I had another gathering where just a couple of months ago where your current vice chancellor joined for a while. I talked it slightly as long as you, but that's not important. What I'm trying to say, the designer of the websites are key, because that helps who is going to see what you have, how frequently they are updated. How do you encourage a faculty member to replace their link? How, now remember, if the faculty member is not productive, there is nothing to be added. So first, the faculty members have to be productive. And then if they're productive, you want to make sure somehow their work gets included. I believe, look at Dhaka University has an annual report. And I have an old copy of it from 3 or 4 years ago. It is a disaster if you look at it. If that's the symbol of Dhaka University, I will quit because it's not getting anywhere. So whatever you have on the website, it must not give any negative impression. It is a sales tool. It's a public relations tool. You need to have depth in the website. If I go down the website and look at this, there is this picture of the faculty member blank, right? They didn't even bother to put their picture. So you are trying to attract a student. They even don't know who they're talking to. So these are components of how frequently they are updated, linked, how dynamic the screens are. And by the way, now it is a lot more dynamic than it was before. Let me give you a scene. 5 years ago, maybe a year ago, the top of the website would be always have a picture for vice chancellor. He's shaking hand of this person or that person. It is funny. It is hilarious. You will not find a university in anywhere in the world where vice chancellors are being represented. Vice chancellor represents nothing. What it represents is the faculty. What it represents are the successful students and successful faculty. So I believe your website has come a lot. I will take time and I will go through it and I'll make some suggestions and I will coordinate it. Thank you.
Sir, I just have one question connected to this line. You said that what we have done, that's not so important. What we're going to do and what we will do, and then the last two things are not actually mentioned in our website.
Yes, so let me tell you this. I don't know where it was, but
faculty and graduate.
Yes. Now just think of this, and I'm not belittling anything. If you go to the Dhaka University website, what it is most proud of, think of this. I'll mention it. What did we do in Bhasha Andolan? What did we do in 1971? And I'm not minimizing anything. That's all we are proud about. That's all we are proud about. That will not make us rank. It doesn't matter how good we feel. Okay? It will not change the reputation. The reputation has to change with faculty member X doing work in this, and this work getting published here, this getting this award. This is attracting this faculty member to win this kind of grant from this kind of agency. That's what's get the grant. The grant is going to get, I have a students on my third year EEE department, and these students already by being in third year is doing a co-op with this company or that company. That's what sells, because that's what sells to the other students, that they need to do this. So you are selling current faculty and current students what they're doing now and what this work is going to lead to. So these are the things that website can help. This is the window of coming to the university. I tell you this, when I went to the United States, that's 46 or 7 years ago, there was no website, there was no internet. I went to, in those time, United States Information Service. I asked them, they gave me a printed piece of paper of the name of all the universities, alphabetized. One of the reasons I went to Alabama is because it starts with the letter A. I could have gone to Alaska. The reason this is because I did not have information. Nowadays, website is the window in the university. Today, while I am at Dartmouth, I have students writing to me because they go and click and then immediately send an email to me, right? They're expecting a response. more likely they are going to get a response, okay? I normally don't try to ignore writing. It might take a few minutes or few days, but this is the window of getting. So again, I'm trying to say it is, how do you sell current students, current faculty, current program, current research, not shaking hand. Shaking hand is not going to get anywhere. If you do that, I believe the reputation will increase. Thank you.
Sir, Professor Atik sir raised hand. Maybe.
Okay,
Sure.
okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing me, sir. I mean, you mentioned the Gerald Chen Foundation or Manning Foundation. They donated for nursing or medical school and so on, and hence the names are changed. Now the issue came a few times in Dhaka University for a few other issues, but on that time, not our department of faculty, but as a whole university, the issue came that those who are trying to donate, whether their name can be added because of their personal, for example, achievements or what field or something like this. So this is, and of course, political issues as well. But my point is that Gerald Chen or Manning, I mean, they are related to healthcare or nursing or medical school or nothing related to that.
So let me, you'll be shocked to hear this. I know Manning family. His wife is a nurse, a famous nurse. So she has soft corner for health science. The husband and they together, they have made billions of dollars. And their foundation, which is Manning Foundation, is where the money resides. So typically in the United States, if I have enough wealth at some point in time, I'll transfer the wealth out to a family foundation. Family foundation will be set that this much percentage will go to this or that or that. Now, which means who has to pay the tax? One who is going to get the money in the end. When they get the money. So what the foundations typically do, that sometimes even those people are becoming wealthy and richer. So what the foundations do, they have a process. There's a foundation board. They will say, we need to spend about 10% every year. Now remember, at the same time, it's also growing. 10% every year over the next 10 or 15 years. And they will still see after 15, 20%, they have more than half of the money still left from where they started because it grew. So, or it was managed. So I'm coming back to your point is that sometime you will ask this question, why successful people out of Dhaka University are not investing in Dhaka University? Many of them who are outside, they will not until many of the things have changed significantly. And many of it is political. You know that for a fact, okay? If you have a favorite name, you can name the whole country after that person. Whole country can be named. So in a sense, naming all of these are political considerations. Not only we name, we change names too. When we don't like, we just flip it, change it. These are not good signs. So if an institution wants to make a change, nobody should change the name of Khundakar Mokarram Hossain building to something else because somebody else in future hates Mokarram Hossain or his children. These are the things that universities have to guarantee if you want to go forward. So again, these are structural problems on the universities, especially public universities. As I said, public universities are politics prone. They are not necessarily meant for growth. They are just meant for status quo. And I hate to say this bluntly, but that's what is in Bangladesh. I hope the time will change. I hope if you're fundraising within a department, name a laboratory after somebody, possibly it will not draw some attention. I think in Bangladesh, you have to make sure the donor has to go and shake hand of the vice chancellor about 20 times, 1,000 times, or 5,000 times, just to become legitimate. Whatever the process it takes, until those things happen, I don't think big money is going to come. Going back to the question of Manning, guess what? Do you know who Manning is? Manning is the current board of trustees chair. He is setting example by donating himself to the institution. Chen family, they have nothing to do with medicine. The foundation has decided to contribute to the creation of drugs. And so that's how they have chosen that. That's the current thrust areas. So I'm kind of giving a sense how it happens, but within the context of Bangladesh, I think things may have to change a little bit if you wanted to attract dollars, because nobody wants your name to be, my guess is, if you did, you are going to have a lot of issues, but I don't know all the local politics, and I'm glad I don't know. See, I don't have to work there and I don't know about it. I'm glad that that is the case, but you have to deal with your local issues to see how you can do better.
So one last question from my side. This is regarding, you mentioned that donations, people started from $1,000 and now they are pouring millions after 10, 15 years. I know that some universities, they give even minimum small amount of money. So just give us some idea that based on if we plan like that our alumni or department combinedly start some donation campaign that some members will donate. I guess that in US, people donate even monthly, even for $5 or $10, something like this. Just give us some idea so that we can start like this, because small, pebbles can make it, bigger in the long run. Thank you.
At my current university, for example, there is a campaign over the year where even a student or a faculty member or a staff can donate either from their payment or their salary to this. It is a campaign, and it's a process. So every month or so, it will tell, this is how much we have. This is how much we have to raise to get there. You have to show where we are, where we're going to go. And then there is a concentrated month or two where you say, this is the time we have to reach the targets. And it's not by saying, you have to almost go live to tell when now it has gone from $1,000 to $2,000. And this works. Every year it works. So it is a culture that has to be built through a methodical process. And I wanted to really tell you, you got to pick the point that it's the small donation today that will end up becoming big donation later. More you have this, they will end up creating bigger and better resources later. So no money, however small, is bad. It's actually great. You want to encourage even the smallest amount. Now, typical jargon you will see amongst the people, and I hate to say this because I raise money all the time. I actually raise money for a lot of Navik projects in Bangladesh. It is my campaign. I do it throughout the whole year. You go to a fundraising hall and some people will say that, oh, you're trying to raise $100,000. If 100 of us can give just $1,000, we'll make it. We know for a fact, most of them cannot give $1,000. While there are some people in the same hall can give me $25,000. Do you see where I'm getting with? So trying to average out does not help. You need to get every single dollar. Don't get caught up into, oh, if we just did this, everybody together, we'll go to this Kumbaya land in 1 year. That doesn't work. So again, it is a methodical process. You have to brainstorm before you are going to the hall, what kind of talk you are going to give, what are you. So I'll give you a sense. Every month, the COVID has stopped it. Every month, I fly to a different city. In that city, the local Bangladeshis, or in this case, sometimes also non-Bangladeshi Muslims, have been gathered. They have cultivated over a week, maybe a couple of Juma back. I show up on this Friday. Maybe I'll give a Juma khutbah too. But on my Saturday, on the fundraising time, I actually present project. Here are these projects for Bangladesh. This is what it takes. This is what it takes. This is what it takes. I make I'm the lead fundraiser for that. I do it every year. Each year, I end up raising about $1 million. So what I'm trying to, it's a process. It's a process. You must sell the product. You must say what it does. So look at this. If I just tell you one picture, it's a sign, because I raise some money for science and technology. If I say, this money you give, it'll go to fund those students who are going for programming contest, world programming contest. Okay. ACM ICPC's context. We pay the fare for the trainer, the coach, the faculty, wherever they are going to fly. And by the way, NABIC has been funding them since 1995. We never missed a year. In other words, when I tell that, look at this, if this team goes from Bangladesh, and I remember, I'll just tell you a short story because this tells you how it goes. Here is this hall full of people in Silicon Valley. They've been working in semiconductor industries. They're in this big hall. And I say to them, I want you to support ACM ICPC team from Bangladesh. It will possibly progress certain students to go for the world finals. I had, at least in 1 year, somebody raised hand. I said, well, but the students from Bangladesh, they are ranked typically 20th, 21st, 27th. They are not rising to the top 1 and 2. My comeback was that year, not a single team from the United States has been within 30. So if somebody from Bangladesh was within 30, they actually did pretty good job. So again, it's the storytelling and how do you frame and tell the story? Because as I say to you, people give to the winners. They will never give to the losers. You get my point? They give to the winners, not to the loser. So the spokesperson, the salesperson is key in making the case. So I not only have videos and everything else, I have local people already worked out, harped up before they come to the hall. They have to make sure that, okay, I've got at least 3 commitment of this much. So I know I can have about 30,000. I have to go to 100, I have to raise another $70,000. So again, all I'm just saying is that it is a process, a methodical process. You learn over time. You must tell winning stories. It will happen. I'll give you another story from Bangladesh. If I tell them, which I do, we have been also funding, it's called Lindau Bangladesh project, right? Lindau BD. If I tell them every year, I'm taking 4 or 5 people from Bangladesh, go to Lindau, Germany. If this year they are physics students, they get to see about 20 Nobel Prize winners for physics for 4 days. If they're chemistry student this year, they go and meet 25 Nobel Prize winners in chemistry. I tell that story to the donors. This is what they're seeing. They're seeing these students are now knowing what it takes to get a Nobel Prize. All I'm just saying, these things did not happen when I was a student. Nobody made any case out of it. But I'm saying, as long as you can sell a winning story will attract donors. And how persuasive.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sir, as you said that many of our people are publishing in Dhaka University Journal or other pre-literary journal. So I saw most of my colleagues they are mostly focused on the number of publication, and I saw they put all the local publication in our website. So do you think it will have a negative impact on the ranking if we put all those garbage publication in the website or something like that?
It will not have a negative implication. It will just have no implication. It'll be negative. They will know, okay, this is some kind of a journal, except it's not rated. That's it. However, if somebody was to physically come and check your website, physically, you create a bad impression. Now, often nowadays, they come back into your website automatically, right? You say if I can say deep learning and deep machines, and I try to extract data for data processing by machine driven, possibly it is not going to make any difference. But if somebody physically came to your website, it'll give a very wrong impression. Imagine this, think of this, suppose we are 50 years ago, and the student is going to come from Korea to Dhaka University. Is going to stay in, I think we used to call it the International Hall somewhere in Nilketh. He's going to stay there, he's going to go to school. Now, today, this student, if they're going to study, make any department, say physics, and they go to the website and physics, and this is what they're going to do. They click at every faculty member's website to see if they're doing anything that is interesting. If it's not interesting, they're going to find some other university where there are interesting work. Right? So think of this. It is for those people who are prospective students, prospective donors, and others who are physically coming to website and checking it out. Most likely it is going to cause a negative reputation. If it's automatically done, then maybe it's no reflection. Now, for Dhaka University stuck in counting numbers. Counting numbers is okay if they would have also included counting impacts. But it's not counting impacts, it's counting number of publication. It does not even count how many of them are plagiarized or not. We don't know that, right? Because of where they are being published, it is very possible some of them are plagiarized work too. Again, I showed you this slide from 2016 to 2018. How many plagiarized works are getting published? So again, I think these are consideration for the people who are designing the website that is going to make a negative impact for SUC and positive impact for SUC. But it is really a peer pressure that is going to help change things. I know that in Bangladesh, negative pressure is in the reverse direction. আপনি এখনো নীল দলে জয়েন করেন নাই অথবা সাদা দলে জয়েন করেন নাই অথবা পিঙ্ক দলে ওটা হচ্ছে pressure, right? So you have to get out of those conversations somehow.
Right. And another problem is like for promotion, there is a, let's say some is publishing in journal or someone is publishing it. So yeah, it's like
so I can tell you this. I would not name the university, but I will say I serve as an external reviewer for promotions in about 3 or 4 universities. When it comes to me, what do you think I'm doing? I'm immediately you go to Google Scholar to figure out what work is actually done or not. I'm looking at your CV that is being sent. So it really does not matter how many numbers you have, is what impact you have is important. So again, Dhaka University's promotion process is an internally driven process. If some people are great with you because you have been great with them, then you are going to be promoted. Can I give the example of Shoten Bosch one more time? Because it is important to understand. When Shoten Bosch first applied, he was actually in Europe. He was traveling Europe. At that time, a professorship job became available in physics department. He's still in Europe. He applies for this job. His reference was Albert Einstein. Same year, there is another person who also applied. His last name is also Bose, but the first name is not Satyan, is D. So Devendra Bose. So 2 people applied for the same job. Think of this. One, SN Bose, applied for the position. Reference is Albert Einstein. And the other person who is, I don't know who their references are. I don't have that information, but applies. But this person had astounding, possibly publications record. Once the Dhaka University got external review letters came, guess what? They decided they did not give the job to Satyan Bose. They gave to this other Bose first. Only when the other Bose turned down the job because he was not going to come back to India from Germany, only then SN Bose got the job. So what am I saying? That was the history we had. Each of these things, this promotion, tenure, these will be reviewed worldwide. And then the decision was being made. These things have changed in Bangladesh over time. Thankfully, because of political process that started from about 1973 with the ordinance of Dhaka University ordinance. So again, these are structural problems that we have. Now you're caught up in the number, you are caught up in an internal process, which is typically a political process. So yes, I'm sorry. You had 5 IEEE paper and 2 APS paper, and somebody else had 20 paper published in Prothomalo are about as good. I get that. It is possibly as good. That's a sad story, but I think it is the system that has to change internally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And I think it's almost 2 hours. And
Thank you. I had my share. Thank you very much. I appreciate this time, and thank you very much. I wish you well, and thank you very much.
Sir,
Assalamu alaikum.
Sir, just last speech from our Vice President of our Alumni Association as a vote of thanks to you from our Alumni Association. So I would like to request Professor Dr. Subroto Kumar Aditya sir for his vote of thanks speech.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Kabir. My sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Mohammad Karim, Fellow of IEEE, OSA, SPIE, IOP, IEP, and Professor University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, USA, for kindly accepting APECE alumni invitation for this webinar and give valuable presentation about higher education status and role of alumni, that how alumni can help university. Professor Karim also emphasizes on research activities of Dhaka University so that teachers and students can increase the standard to compete with world standards. Thanks again to Professor Karim for giving his valuable time for this webinar. I am thankful to all alumni from home and abroad to attend this webinar. I am sure that alumni must have benefited from the talk of Professor Karim. My thanks to Executive Committee of APECE-EEE alumni to organize this webinar. Thank you all. Thank again to attend this webinar. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, just I would like to request to take just one photo because this is our first webinar. So I would like to request to open your, turn on your camera if it is possible. Just we will take one.
It's already turned on. No, it is turned on.
Sir, yes, your camera is turned on. Just I am requesting to other audiences.
Okay.
Okay, sir, I am taking just 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so as it is just one page, so it's enough. So thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful presentation, and thank you
sir,
all the audiences. So hopefully we will organize the next webinars, and we will learn a lot from the next speakers. Thank you very much, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
তাহলে কি আমরা রেকর্ডিং অফ করে দাও?
ওকে ভাই, হ্যাঁ
ঠিক আছে।